Hello, Tiger fans. Thanks for tuning in this week for Tiger Timeout as we take a look around Tiger and Lady Tiger basketball on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton with you as we talk to the head coach of the Lady Tigers, the top-ranked club in the nation. Plays this past weekend. Brescia in action again this coming Saturday against the University of Science and Arts. Busy time for the Lady Tigers. Coach still kind of feels slow getting into this schedule. It's like maybe we want to play a little basketball, maybe we don't. I know it's going to get really busy very soon for you guys, but here you are almost a month in. You're going to be 4 games in. It's been a slow burn to start.
It has been, and that goes back to, I think we talked about it last time, it's just hard to get games. And when we get games, we have to get classics where you go play a couple games, 2 or 3 games, and that's where we've got some classics stacked up that we're going to play. And it's a little frustrating, but it's good on the flip side. You can work on some stuff, let your kids rest, and so we'll get to playing soon. And this one, Saturday's a big one for us.
And it feels like it's one of those things with a group returning. It would be a great year to really hit the ground running out of the gate because you have so many familiar faces. And then some years, if you got a lot of new players and new faces, you might really want to kind of drag it out and get into it slow, more time to implement your stuff. It's just kind of luck of the draw or the way the schedule goes, I suppose.
It is. And I think for us, it's probably worked out better because with Tyra and with Whitney, that's 2 kids that are going to play a big role in what we do this year. So they're learning what we do, and they're learning what all these kids already know. So it's a good thing for us right now to be practicing more than we're playing.
The Lady Tigers get a win over Brescia this past weekend in the Powell Athletic Center. Their home opener over the Bearcats, and it was kind of it's an interesting thing for the Bearcats. We'll talk about that. 102-42, the final score. Maddie Boyle and Elizabeth Bertram both shot the ball very well. Coach 17 points apiece. Lauren Lee and Tyra Flowers also could make a case to go on that graphic as well. Both of those young ladies with a lot of crooked numbers. We saw the skill set, what Tyra brings to the table, what she's capable of, what she can do. She's very active defensively. Let's start there. And I know the point total wasn't something that just jumps off the page at you, but when you look across through there and you see 3s and 4s is just about everywhere, that means she made the most of those minutes.
Unfortunately, the point totals are never going to jump out because our kids don't play 40 minutes a game, and that's okay because we feel like we're not going to be so tired at the end of the season. But Tyra comes in and makes a huge difference. I think she had 9 boards, and she just makes things happen. Comes in the first play of the game that she's in, gets a steal and a score. And we want her to be a little bit more selfish offensively. She's a great passer, and she's a great defender and rebounder. We want her just to be just a little bit more selfish, be a little bit more confident in taking it to the hole because she's extremely quick and does a great job for us. We're just thrilled to have her.
And then Maddie Boyle and Bert were both on that graphic, Coach. And in a lot of ways, they're similar. I know they do some things differently, but they're very similar. And to kind of pull one out of the lineup and put the other one in at times, it's almost like no change. I don't know, outside of one being left-handed and the other one being orthodox, there's not much different in a lot of ways. And they're both active. They really get after you defensively. They can shoot the lights out. Great passers. I mean, they're fun to watch, and it's eerie how similar they can be.
It is, and I think one thing about them is they're not big guards. They're probably both about the same size, but they both finish well at the rim. Both are very crafty and do a good job, and when they get hot, things change for us. When they can come out and make shots, it just opens everything else up. And, having that 1-2 punch for those 2 is a blessing for us.
The first weekend, you had to go pick Fisk up to get them to the gym. Not that we didn't know that a week later it would get kind of even crazier for your opponent. And if you didn't get a chance to watch the game last weekend, 48 hours before the game, Brescia's coach steps down. Differences between him and the administration. Well, now all of a sudden they're bringing a men's coach, an assistant men's coach to help. He was introducing himself to the girls before the game. At one point, he was telling me that a young lady was going to coach the JV game, and it was the wrong name. He's like, "Oh, sorry, it's Madeline, not Madison." And I mean, I felt bad for the guy, and kudos to them for actually showing up. Because I know that's not easy. Hey, go play the #1 team in America.
Right? Can you imagine? Your coach steps down the night before, and you have to load up and go play on the road. And I think there's a lot to be said for their character and the fact that they come up and played. They didn't whine and gripe. They competed. We'd watched them on film, and they do a lot of things well. And for them to come and do what they did and the assistant coach to step up, and I think they have about a week off before they go to Georgetown, so I'm hoping that they can, for those kids' sakes, get something worked out for them because they deserve to play.
Well, they do, and they've got some talented pieces. And
They do.
really, Lindsey Payton gave you a good look at some things that you'll see throughout Mid-South Conference play when you start to get to some of your familiar opponents. But she's a great post, active, can really score around the basket, and she really kept them in the basketball game that first 15 to 20 minutes.
I think we talked about she had 17 the first half, and we didn't do a very good job. And, of course, she's a good offensive player, but we came out the second half a little fatigue on her part, and then we focused on her a little bit more, but we did a better job the second half with her.
The Lady Tigers pick up the win, move to 3-0 on the season, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the schedule for Campbellsville. It's going to pick up. They've got a big one coming in, a top 25 matchup this weekend at the Powell Center. We'll step away, come back, and touch on those with the head coach here on Tiger Timeout.
We are champions of character.
When I got the opportunity to get her, there wasn't no choice. I told myself, I'm gonna take custody of my daughter. It's my baby. That's what we're supposed to do as men. Take care of our home, build a foundation, you know what I'm saying? Love, our money, she's my purpose. I'm here to walk with her, hold her hand until she can walk alone. Ain't nothing like being a father in this world.
Tiger Timeout continues here on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton with you once again as we continue to look at Lady Tiger basketball. Campbellsville puts that perfect 3-0 record on the line this weekend as they'll welcome in top 25 opponent, the University of Science and Arts out of Oklahoma. The Drovers coach, maybe the first time we faced off with a Drover mascot. It's definitely the first time we've taken on Science and Arts. Some type of cowboy maybe, I don't know. We'd have to,
I'll
have to
check
look
out.
that up. There'll be a nugget for Saturday. We'll have that information for you folks. And but Coach Matthews has done a really good job since taking over. He's been there almost a decade now, getting close to it, and he's got some really talented pieces. And I know for you, we've talked about it, you lost some teams in the league, some really good teams, and you wanted to replace those games. This is going to be a tough test from a not-so-familiar opponent.
It is, and it's a good thing for us to come in and they're from a good conference. They're in the talk every year. And like you said, he's come in and done a great job with them, and they're not afraid to go play people. They're coming in on Friday night to play Georgetown and rolling down here on Saturday to play us. So we're excited about it. Just the opportunity to play. We feel like this will be the best team that we've played so far, a top 25 team, and somebody that I think is going to really test us. They have an outstanding post player, and they're extremely athletic and quick at the guard spot. So we're going to have our challenges, and we've got to be ready to play.
Yeah, as they make the trip to the Northeast, or at least from where they're at, they knocked off Tabor this past week, and they're 3-0 as well. So they'll meet Georgetown there. The chance to come here undefeated, that's a top 25 game as well. And you talked about Lainey Moreau. She can do a little bit of everything. She was a first team in the conference last year. They were picked second in the Sooner Athletic Conference to begin the year behind, I think, Mid-America Christian. So it's a science and arts club that in the national tournament last year, so they are certainly on the upswing as a program.
And I think the Sooner is like the Mid-South. It's just one of those old, steady conferences. And every year they produce such great teams. And if you're in the top 2 or 3 of that conference, you're good. And with MacU in front of them, and they're sitting there at 2, they're very talented. And we can't come in with any chance of letting them have what they need. But we've got to play extremely, extremely hard to get that win.
And let's take a look at some of the numbers that will make up this matchup between Campbellsville and Science and Arts. It's a 5 o'clock start on the Saturday. This will be kind of a de facto doubleheader between the Tigers and Lady Tigers, as Campbellsville's men's club will tip off a bit later. But again, both teams 3-0. The Drovers about 81 points a game. Campbellsville at 108. That's actually second in the country, but tops if you take teams that have played multiple games. So that's is that a dig at Russ Davis at Vanguard? I think he was the only guy.
Yeah, we got to get after Russ. He's just played that one game.
Yeah, so he's slow playing it more so than the Lady Tigers
are
at this stage.
They do every year at Vanguard, man. It takes them a while to get rolling. And they're building a new gym there, so they don't have a place to play. But they usually wait. They play a lot of exhibition games before they start their regular season.
So with Science and Arts coming up Friday to play Georgetown, I take it that's probably why that game's a 5 o'clock instead of like a 2 or something we might normally see.
They wanted a little bit more time, and I don't blame them to rest. You don't want to play a night game and then turn around and play a 1 o'clock game in the afternoon. And it worked out great for us because the guys are playing. So anybody that wants to come catch that boy-girl doubleheader we'll hopefully have 2 good wins to show our fans.
Absolutely, and the schedule overall for Campbellsville does pick up from this point. You get to this game here on Saturday, and then you get the Thanksgiving holiday. Campbellsville will have another game before November closes. So you've got the show, I think they call it, the Classic down in Kingsport against Rio and Union. Rio, obviously, we know that's a national tournament team from last year,
right.
And Coach Smalley does a good job, so that'll be a challenging contest to say the least. Southeastern had a bit of a down year season ago as they underwent some coaching changes and different things, but that game on the 30th, that should be a lot of fun at the Powell Center as well. You got 2 big ones sandwiched around that Classic here at home.
It is. Rio's a top 10 team. They're playing extremely well, and they lost Skeens kid from last year, and then you go all the way down to Stevens at the bottom of that, and Stevens beat Central Meth already this year, who was picked second in the nation. Only lost 1 game last season, so there's no gimmies in that, and like I said, it stresses me to see that a little bit, but we just have to play them one at a time. Think about just Science and Arts.
And I won't stress the coach anymore by mentioning that on December the 9th, it will be a top 5 matchup.
Yes, it will.
I say that
we didn't
kind
even have that on there.
Tongue in cheek. We didn't get to the Indiana Wesleyan game that's kind of looming. So you've got a really hectic, crazy schedule before you get to like the Miami and Puerto Rico holiday. You have to worry about keeping the girls focused a little bit, because that is, it's business on that trip, but it's also a lot of fun.
But like you said, it's a load of teams, and I'm really pleased with what we have scheduled non-conference wise, because it is probably one of our toughest non-conference schedules in a long time. And we want to go out and play. We want to get better. We want to see what we need to do to get better. And but anytime you've got college kids thinking about Miami and Puerto Rico, you have to reel them back in a little bit.
Even the adults think about Miami and Puerto Rico. I can't wait to go. And I think you guys plan on maybe taking in a ball game while you're down there as well.
The Miami Heat, I think, and the Chicago Bulls. Alfonso Alvarez, I think he was the mayor of Miami before he came here. And he knows a lot, and he helped us out. We got some tickets, so we're going to check that game out.
It'll be a lot of fun, but we'll talk about that a bit more down the road. The Lady Tigers in action this weekend. Science and Arts of Oklahoma makes the trip to the Powell Center. It's a 5 o'clock start. Coverage begins at 4:45. We'll step away here, take a timeout, come back and visit with the head coach of Tiger basketball, Brent Vernon, here on Tiger Timeout.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey. Why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Welcome back. Tiger Timeout continues here on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton here with the head coach of Tiger basketball, Brent Vernon. Campbellsville in action this past weekend at Cumberland's, the Classic in Williamsburg. A pair of games, coach, down there. You're going to come back home this week. I talked with the head coach of Lady Tiger basketball, Ginger High Colvin, about this. Their schedule's been kind of slow. You guys, you got into the block and you just went for the big marathon right out of the gate. I mean, it's been, you're going to have, we talked about this yesterday, you're going to have a quarter of your schedule in about 3 or 4 weeks, and then it'll kind of slow down for you throughout December.
Yeah, it really slows down, and that's a good thing for us. Again, I didn't really want it to be this fast-paced, but, you got to find games where you have to find games, and when you have to find so many non-conference games, you're sort of at the mercy of the people who respond to the emails and calls that you put out there. And so, I think we just finished 5 games in 8 days, and we've got some tired bodies and minds and some soreness, and nobody's going to be 100%. So it's good that it slows down. Having a week before our next game after the last weekend's Classic, try to recover a little bit. After Saturday, we have another basically week. So it's good from that aspect, and we can start trying to now pinpoint some things we need to work on from the first few games.
Yeah, and going back to that first game in Williamsburg against UT Southern, that's a team that you've known, a lot of the same pieces, so probably helped you from a scouting standpoint. That was a dogfight throughout, Coach. You got down a little bit, came back, and to be honest with you, down the stretch, we were going to win that basketball game. I'm sure you did too. Just needed, one more big shot or one more big play. It was that close.
It was. I must say, a very good game between, I think, two very good teams. And like you said, back and forth. I mean, we had our opportunities, missed a couple free throws late that obviously we'd like that opportunity back. But I thought our guys battled. We were in a position that we haven't always been in. And again, I thought you saw a lot of good things. We didn't panic. We had some guys gut out some good, tough minutes that maybe we weren't really expecting. And again, we're making strides every day, and I really like the resiliency of this group, and we just got to continue to improve.
And perhaps a precursor of what we saw on Saturday, Darius Harding shot it really well on Friday as we pull up the box there from the win over Virginia University Lynchburg. On Saturday, 88-78, Darius Harding with 23 points. I think maybe he hit 8 threes over the course of the weekend, 3 and then 5 there. On Saturday, Jace Wallace had 15 and 6 with 4 rebounds, and Chandler Clements, a quiet scoring day, but 11 rebounds. And I know for Chandler, that's one of the things when he first got here was the rebounding. Can you go get me a rebound? And he's done that. I thought, we talked about this post-game on Friday, I thought he had the biggest rebound of the basketball game against UT Southern, and it was an offensive board. He went up, grabbed it, stuck it back for 2 points and a big time in the ball game. So I know that's really nice to see from your 4-man there.
It is, and I think a lot of times, Chandler was at Bethel his first couple of years, and then spent a year at Austin Peay and ended up here. And you think about a lot of different scenarios, and what I'm most proud with Chandler is he was known as one thing when he came to Campbellsville, and that was a guy who's going to score the basketball, and he can. But we've really tried to make him more of a well-rounded player. He's become a very better defender since he's been here. He's shown us rebounding, and now it's more of, I'm not trying to score, searching to score. When the opportunity comes, I'll get those opportunities, and I'll try to take advantage of it. He was really good against, I thought, UT Southern the other day. And then, again, on Saturday, didn't have as many opportunities to score, but he helped us in other ways, and that's what we want to see from our guys.
And that was one of those weird games. After the game, I sent you a text just congratulating you on the win. And I was doing the girls' game, so it wasn't like I could really watch, but I noticed you got down early. You got up big. They came back, made it a 10-point game. I guess there's probably a point in there you just want to get that one over with because it's not super great, but at the end of the day, it is a win.
It is, and that's the biggest thing. And, again, as a coach, you can't really score what you tell your guys not to, and you do. And, Lynchburg's had a tough schedule, and they've really come on some hard times with that and had some lopsided games. And, as a coach, you're sitting and thinking, well, we need to go do the same thing. Well, came out a little sluggish. Obviously, we went into the weekend not knowing Cam's status. Got a lot more minutes than we ever anticipated Friday. Shut him down for Saturday. So you're taking away the head of the snake, so-called. So we're figuring some of those things out with that one. Obviously, Javon was out for this weekend, and so there's so many different pieces going into it. Played a lot of minutes. You're tired. It's short rest and everything. So there were a lot of things that went into it. We had good stretches and bad stretches. And now we just got to eliminate the bad.
And then one thing I wanted to touch on is like I said yesterday, we were able to connect, and you talked about Cam Willis on Saturday, and we don't get to talk about Cam a ton. I know he gives you valuable minutes anytime you're able to put him out there, but Saturday, just talking to you, you were super happy with his performance.
Yeah, you can't say enough about Cam. Came in, he's been a walk-on in our program this year. He's actually, I wouldn't say scholarship. Cam is a unique situation. He's a player on our team, but he's also a graduate assistant and assistant on our junior varsity basketball team, and that's something that we worked on. He deserves it. He's come in and got his undergrad degree and working on his master's, and he's done everything we've asked from day one. The one thing unfortunate for Cam, that he doesn't have going his way is he's about 5'8". But what he does have, he's got the heart of a lion, man, and he can really shoot the ball. He understands our concepts and what we're trying to do, and as you said, he's always ready. He brings it every single day, and I didn't like the way the game really started on Saturday with some of our guys. So early in the game, 5 or 6 minutes, put him out there, and again, he was ready. He rose to the challenge and did a lot of good things. And I looked at my staff about 2 or 3 minutes after he'd been in the game, and I said, I don't care what I do. If I try to take him out, you put that guy in for somebody else. Cam Willis is staying in the game, and we rolled with him until there was about 2 minutes left in the first half, and it didn't matter what anybody said. Cam was coming out of that game because he couldn't move much more. And but again, we got him right back out there, and overall played a really nice job, and I could see him getting rewarded later on down the road.
Nice to see, certainly there for one of the Tigers' longstanding players in the program. We'll step away here, take a timeout. We'll come back. Coach mentioned Javon Smith. We'll talk about his status. We'll also look ahead this weekend. Toccoa Falls comes to the Powell Center. It's a 7:30 start there on Saturday evening, so stay with us as we preview that one as well on Tiger Timeout.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too
Sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Closeout segment this week here on Tiger Timeout. Matt Payton with you as we continue to take a look at Tiger basketball. Upcoming matchup with Toccoa Falls in the Powell Center this weekend, coming your way on Saturday. Coach, before we get to that, one of the last things we talked about last week was Javon Smith had the injury, here at home. That was that second game of that classic. It wasn't the Midway game. It was the Indiana University Southeast game, I believe. But it didn't look good at the time. It took some time. We got the MRI, got the doctor's visits and all that stuff out of the way, and not a great report for Mr. Smith.
No, it's not. And it's what you see it happen in real time, and he's in pain, and sometimes the pain they go through on an injury like that, it's more scared, so you're not really sure where it stands. The next day, whenever we talked, he was still in pretty good discomfort, had some swelling. So that's whenever, as a coach, I started unfortunately thinking the worst, and we got the news for him, torn ACL, a couple meniscus tears, I want to say partially torn quad, about as bad as probably you can be, especially with a non-contact injury. But we're going to get him in. He's seeing the doctor actually today, and we're going to get a surgery date. The good part about it only happened in that fifth game, which doesn't get you over that 20%, which keeps it to where your red shirt is still available. So you got to look at it some different ways. And the first thing that came to my mind was, well, we got a guy who's a competitor, who can really defend, who is playing his best basketball, oozing with some confidence for 2 more years now. And you think about the future of Javon Smith and Marcellus Vell out there for 2 years together, and you really like what your backcourt's shaping up to be. It makes recruiting a little different and easier. Maybe go out and find a few more high school guys instead of transfers. So there's good and bad with it. I hate it for the young man. He's already been through a lot, but Vaughn's a warrior. He's going to come back just fine.
And you mentioned Marcellus. You were telling me before we went on, he had surgery here recently too, and deer season hit, Marcellus still decided he needed to be in the woods. So that's the kind of cat that is.
I think his backyard, but still same thing what it is. I mean, the guy's a funny guy. He's an outdoorsman. And show me that picture, and I'm sitting there, I'm worried about rehab and everything else, but he's doing good from the surgery. So step one's we're through that, and now it's time to move forward.
The Tigers will move forward. Toccoa Falls, Saturday evening, 7:30 in the Powell Center. Campbellsville 5-2. The Eagles, Falcons. I haven't even looked that up yet.
Not sure.
They're just a basketball team. Anyway, Campbellsville 83 points a game. Toccoa Falls has been able to really get up and down to start their season, and you can see the field goal percentage numbers pretty close together. But Coach, this is an NCCAA team. As you start to dig in on them, anything you can offer about Toccoa Falls?
Not tons. As we talked about, we've had so many games these last couple days prior to Toccoa Falls. I've been watching more of us working on things. Coach Mark and Coach Holsey have been looking at Toccoa Falls. And basically what they said, they play fast. They shoot a lot of threes. A lot of them just spread you out, try to get to the rim and then penetrate and kick. As you can see, they're putting up a lot of numbers. They rebound it pretty well. So, we're going to have our work cut out for us. It's one of those games that you schedule not knowing much, and then you see a team, and it's one of those things that they're going to make us better. We're sitting at 5-2, which, could very easily be 7-0. We've lost a game by 2 and 4 points, so we've been right there. And, it's time for the next couple of weeks to protect home court as we're home now for a while and, make sure we finish this last month and a half before Christmas the right way.
Coach mentioned they're at home for a while, taking a look at that schedule as they close out the rest of this first semester. The Tigers, again, Toccoa Falls this coming weekend, 7:30 the start time in the Powell Center. Simmons College and Harris-Stowe State await next weekend over the Thanksgiving holiday. Western Kentucky in an exhibition matchup on the 29th in Bowling Green. And then Voorhees College on December 11th. So you've got a long break there to start the month of December, Coach. But Voorhees College actually plays Toccoa Falls tonight. So I'm sure that'll help you down the line, maybe having that tape to scout and see those two teams play each other. But it's always fun to get back home in the PAL. You mentioned being there for a while. You don't have any more road trips here in the first semester outside of that exhibition with Western. So that's kind of nice to think about middle of November.
Yeah, it is. I'll say, the worst part is we have that drought, that lull in December. We had a classic at Cumberland University that fell through, and we found a game in January to replace one of those games. Still wish we could find that 28th game in December, but haven't had any luck and probably won't because of how late it is. So there'll be a lot of pieces of the puzzle whenever we get close to finals week and figuring out what's best for our group and everything to get refreshed, to get healthy, and finish out the semester both academically and athletically strong.
Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks, Matt.
Tigers again in action Saturday, 7:30 against Toccoa Falls. The Lady Tigers will start that sort of doubleheader. We'll probably break in between as there's the extra gap. But Campbellsville's women's program takes the floor at 5 o'clock against the University of Science and Arts of Oklahoma. Special thank you to head coach Brent Vernon as well as the head coach of the Lady Tigers, Ginger High Colvin. Matt Payton here. We'll see you next time on Tiger Timeout.